Good to have you back. There's no question that Dinwiddie's presence gives the Nets a boost off the bench, and his return seems to come at the perfect time as they continue to fight for a playoff spot. For more on Dinwiddie and other topics, we head back to Barclays Center now and welcome in Michael Scotto of The Athletic. Michael, great to have you with us. Let's start with Dinwiddie. What kind of impact can he have now with this team 19 games away from the potential playoff spot?
Well, you mentioned the 19 games left, and Kenny Atkinson said that they have a short runway left before the end of the regular season. I'm not sure if it's as short as the one at LaGuardia Airport, but Spencer Dinwiddie is a guy who's been a Sixth-Man of the Year candidate for this Brooklyn Nets team before he tore ligaments in his right thumb, and he's helped them have the 53 wins against opponents' bench units where they've outscored opponents' benches by 53 points. So it's no doubt that Spencer Dinwiddie's return is crucial, especially with his 6'6" size and wingspan, where he can guard all-star players such as Kemba Walker of the Charlotte Hornets.
All right, so let's talk about one of his teammates now, and that's DAngelo Russell. A key situation for the Nets. Is it an easy decision? He's going to be a restricted free agent. How do you lock him up after this season moving forward?
Well, honestly, with any guy that's a restricted free agent, generally other teams dictate the market. The one fear that you have to have if you're the Brooklyn Nets is considering all the restricted free agent offer sheets that they've made over the past, that another team might come in and give DAngelo a high-priced offer. For example, some teams on the market that could use a point guard next year are the Orlando Magic, the Phoenix Suns, who have Devin Booker, one of DAngelo Russell's closest friends. And you also have a sleeper team, in my opinion, the Indiana Pacers, who are going to have some major cap space coming up this summer and could have a need for a point guard depending on what happens with Darren Collison's free agency and Corey Joseph as well. So I don't think there's going to be a lack of suitors for DAngelo, which should drive up his price. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Brooklyn. But he's certainly come into his own this season. After the loss of Karis LeVert, he's been able to take that usage and make the most of his time. And here we are. You know, there's 19 games left, and right now his stock has never been higher in his young career thus far. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Now, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll also keep an eye on what happens with the player you mentioned for the Hornets, Kemba Walker. What do you think his future is? He's talked about wanting to stay with Charlotte, but could he go elsewhere?
Well, one thing about Kemba that I can say is he's a very genuine person. When he says that he loves Charlotte, it's truthful. Anybody I've spoken to around him in his camp would agree with that statement as well. And from Charlotte's perspective, you got a three-time All-Star who's the face of your franchise, represented you guys as a starter in the All-Star game. And I think for Kemba, it's pretty simple. For both sides, they lock up a talented All-Star guard, and then down the road, you're probably looking at a guy that could make max money. So once that happens and you lock him up, depending on what happens with Charlotte down the road, you can flip him in a trade eventually down the road because you have more leverage. You have him retained for a longer period of time, whether it's a 4-year deal or whether it's a 5-year deal. So I think for both sides, it should work out. I do expect him to remain in Charlotte after the summer of free agency concludes, but ultimately, time will tell.
Yep, no doubt about that. Big-time player averaging 25 points a game. Michael, we'll let you go. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.
My pleasure, Bob. Thank you.
All right.